If you only have one bank account right now, you are playing the money game on hard mode. And I do not mean that as a criticism. I mean it literally. One account is a system designed to fail, and nobody ever told you that. Here is what actually happens when all your money sits in one place. You get paid, you check your balance, it looks okay, maybe even decent. So you make a few purchases, then a few more, then a bill hits, then another. And somehow, even though you swore this month would be different, the balance is back to zero before the next paycheck. That cycle has nothing to do with your discipline or your income. It has everything to do with your setup. When all your money is in one place, all your money looks like spending money. And your brain, which we established in the last video, is already wired against you, will find a way to spend it. My name is Rich Future You. Today, we fix the setup. Subscribe and hit the like button if this one changes how your money works.
Let me explain exactly why one account is such a problem, because understanding this makes the solution obvious. When you look at your bank balance, your brain does not see savings and bills and fun money broken out separately. It just sees a number. And that number, whatever it is, feels like your available money, not your total money. Your available money. So if you have $2,000 in your account, your brain interprets that as $2,000 you can spend. Even if $800 of it is earmarked for rent, even if $300 is for your car insurance due next week, even if you were planning to save $200 of it, your brain just sees $2,000. Psychologists call this mental accounting, the way humans naturally group money into categories based on where it lives. The problem with one account is there are no categories. Everything blurs together. And when everything blurs together, spending always wins. The fix is not more discipline. The fix is to give your money different homes. Separate accounts that physically separate your money into categories that your brain can actually process correctly. When your savings is not in the same account as your spending money, you cannot accidentally spend it. The system protects you from yourself.
Account 1 is what I call the bills account. This is where every fixed monthly expense gets paid from. Rent, utilities, car payment, insurance, phone bill, subscriptions, minimum debt payments. Everything that comes out on a schedule goes through this account. Here is how it works. At the start of every month, or every payday, you transfer exactly the amount needed to cover your fixed bills into this account. Not a dollar more, just the bills amount. Then you set up every automatic payment to pull from this account, and you do not touch it for anything else. This account is not for spending, it is not for fun. It does a job. It pays your bills on autopilot and keeps them completely separate from the money you actually have to work with. Once it is set up, you barely have to think about it. Bills get paid, you move on. One practical note here. Use a simple checking account for this. No fees, no minimums. Most major banks offer a basic checking account for free. You do not need anything fancy. The account just needs to receive transfers and send payments. That is all.
Action item: calculate your total fixed monthly bills right now. Write down every recurring charge. Add them up. That number is your bills account transfer amount each month.
Account 2 is the most important account for your day-to-day sanity. I call it the Freedom Fund. Some people call it a spending account. Whatever you call it, this is the account you actually live from. After your bills amount goes into account 1 and your savings amount goes into account 3, which we will get to in a moment, everything left over goes into the Freedom Fund. This is your guilt-free money. Groceries, gas, eating out, entertainment, clothing, haircuts, anything discretionary. It all comes from here.
Wait for next transfer.
Here is the magic of this account. Once the money is gone, it is gone. There is no guilt about spending it because you already paid your bills and saved your savings before this money even existed. You are not robbing your future to enjoy today. You are spending what is genuinely yours to spend. This also eliminates the most exhausting part of budgeting, the endless mental math of, am I allowed to buy this? If the Freedom Fund has money in it, the answer is yes.
If it does not, the answer is no. That clarity alone is worth setting up the whole system.
The key thing about the Freedom Fund is where it lives. This should be at a completely different bank than your savings account. Not just a different account at the same bank, a different bank entirely. Out of sight genuinely means out of mind. If you have to log into a completely separate app to see your savings, you will almost never accidentally touch it. The Freedom Fund is usually a simple checking account. Some people link a debit card to it and only use that card for discretionary spending. When the card stops working, the Freedom Fund is empty, and it is time to wait for the next transfer. Account 3 is where everything changes. This is the wealth account, and it is the reason the whole system exists. The wealth account is a high-yield savings account, currently paying around 4 to 5% annually, at a completely separate bank from your everyday accounts. It has one job: receive your automatic savings transfer every single payday and grow. Here is why this account is different from a regular savings account. First, the high yield means your money earns actual meaningful interest instead of the 0.01% most big banks pay. Second, the separation, different bank, separate login, no debit card linked, creates a psychological barrier that makes it genuinely hard to spend this money casually.
What goes in here? Initially, your emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of essential expenses sitting here as your financial buffer. Once the emergency fund is fully funded, this account becomes the staging area for your investing. Money waits here until you move it into your Roth IRA or investment account on a schedule. Name this account something meaningful. Literally type the name in when you open it. Freedom Fund, Future House, Rich Future You Fund, whatever resonates. Research shows that named savings goals are far more likely to be preserved. When the account has a name, your brain stops seeing it as available spending money and starts seeing it as a goal with momentum. Action item. If you do not already have a high-yield savings account, open one this week. It takes about 10 minutes online. Ally, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and Discover Bank are all solid options, currently paying competitive rates.
Now let me put the whole system together and show you exactly how money flows through it, because this is where it goes from interesting idea to life-changing habit. Step 1. Payday. Your paycheck lands in a main checking account. This can be the bills account or a separate receiving account. Either works. The moment it lands, 2 automatic transfers fire simultaneously. Transfer 1, the bills amount moves to the bills account if it is separate. Transfer 2, your savings amount moves to the wealth account. You set both of these up as recurring automatic transfers and never think about them again. What is left after those 2 transfers goes to your Freedom Fund, either automatically or you transfer it yourself. This is your money for the month. All of it is genuinely available to spend without guilt. The entire system runs on autopilot. Bills get paid automatically, savings get saved automatically, freedom money gets spent however you want. You make the decisions once when you set it up. Then the system executes every single month without requiring any more willpower from you. Start small if you need to. Even a $20 automatic transfer to the wealth account on payday counts. You are not optimizing the dollar amount in week 1. You are building the habit and the infrastructure. The amounts increase over time as you earn more and spend less. The system stays the same. Here is the mistake I see constantly when people try to set this up. They keep the savings account at the same bank as their checking account. They open a savings tab right next to their checking tab. They can see both balances on the same screen. And within 2 months, they have raided the savings account for something they convinced themselves was an emergency. A restaurant closing you wanted to try one last time is not an emergency. A sale on something you have been wanting is not an emergency. A spontaneous weekend trip is not an emergency. But when your savings is 1 click away on the same app, your brain will generate a very convincing story about why it qualifies. The friction of logging into a completely separate bank stops about 90% of those impulses before they start.
You do not need iron willpower. You need a speed bump. A different bank is that speed bump. Set it up once correctly, and you will thank yourself every single month for years.
One account is a trap. Not because you are bad with money, but because it is a system that makes saving accidentally impossible and spending accidentally easy. 3 accounts flips that completely. Saving becomes automatic, spending becomes guilt-free, and wealth building runs in the background while you live your life. Open account 2 and 3 this week. Set up the automatic transfers this weekend. Name the wealth account something that matters to you. That is it. The whole system. The Pay Yourself First setup guide in the description walks you through the exact steps at every major US bank, including which accounts to open, where to find the auto transfer settings, and what amounts to start with. Link is below. Subscribe for a new video every Tuesday and Thursday. Rich future you starts with the next paycheck.